Match officially going live.
Alright, as expected, it looks as though Jinrai are going a little bit support heavy, with 2 supports, 2 recons, and 1 assault.
NSF taking 2 assaults, 2 supports, and a recon.
You have a recon going fence for Jinrai, supports are going inside, probably to Skybridge. Looks like recon already engaged in the warehouse area.
The NSF being a somewhat passive terror, more on the side of the Skybridge here, slowly approaching the hangar.
Yes, Halcyon went down to the basement and is now leaving. I don't know what that was all about. I
It's
guess
not
it's
like
good.
taking on RTJ, quickly downing.
That's
Not much to
tough.
say at this point. Just NSF taking a very defensive. Oh, never mind. Gecko running into Deep Rock here, taking him out. Still just not moving any further. Snala just doing the sweep from behind here. Checking the situation out. Lagging a bit for me, though. Might be my ping. NSF is now slowly starting to push, trying to clear out the area as they move towards the enemy spawn. Snala chilling out in cubbyhole as he likes to. The first round being way calmer than I expected. Halcyon is starting the offense, taking out Michaelopolis. Snala quickly engaging those stairs. Pizza on his own, as I'm seeing, taking out Snala, having to face another support and another assault as they are trying to take over Skybridge and Tarmac. As people have been asking about the lineups once again, it is Halcyon, Pizza, Leapfrog, RTJ, and Raid Bob on Jinrai, aka Cloaks and Dogs, and Snarla, Gecko, Servo, Vamp, Gecko, and Dr. Michaelopolis on Team NEOTWINKS. NSF winning due to timeout, Pizza being the only one alive. They are clearly outnumbering.
Alright, so I think it might be a little bit more beneficial, particularly to new viewers, to talk a little bit more about the tactics rather than what's going on, just because mainly they can see what's going on. So I think if we talk a little bit more about the strategies being employed by both teams, it might be a little bit more beneficial. It's interesting to me the extent to which Halcyon rushed last round. I think it's kind of, I don't know, it's the risk reward for that on this kind of open map is a little bit, I don't know if I would personally do that if I was a recon. I think it's fair to do that, you know, particularly against a more skilled team, which I would consider NEOTWINKS to be, just because being able to disrupt their, you know, initial deployment is probably pretty important. Because once they get entrenched with their assaults and the ZR in the early rounds, it's kind of tough to get them kind of pulled out of there, particularly on this map because it's a little bit known for just having like a lot of camping lanes where you can't really push without getting punished really hard for it.
Especially on this map.
Yeah, yeah, Tarmac of all the maps is probably the worst. It seems as though Halcyon just keeps going back and forth between a server room and the fence, which is weird to me. I don't think I'd want to... Sorry, continue.
Snala being more offensive than Halcyon from what I've noticed.
Yeah.
I mean, he initiated a sweep where he tried to get around and spawn. Sure, the other team moved a lot, so he wasn't able to pick any people here. Yeah. But he's doing it again. He's just pushing out. Facing Halcyon in this case, not working out, but he's doing the thing he did the whole tournament, just switching weapons, getting ZR silence, and then starting to go down aggressively, sweeping out the corners.
I think that's a fair tactic for making early trades, particularly in early rounds where you can just rank up to better weapons and really get the train going of pain. I don't know. This is a tough map for me to really comment on, just because I don't particularly find it to be that great as far as competitive play is concerned. I mean, it's just it's tough. I'm surprised, like you said, the extent to which Snell is being a little bit aggressive, particularly against a team that I know is going to be running 2 to 3 supports. Just because, I mean, you don't really want to get stuck in the corridor with a support, particularly when you're only armed with an SRM.
Yeah. But on this map, it's not really an issue. It's more open than anything else. The only thing that can be kind of a threat is the Skybridge or maybe basement.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
And as we're discussing, Jinrai has already been taken out a second time. NSF taken a second round here. Though, to be honest, I'm not seeing that much of an extraordinary player except for the Recons playing more aggressively than expected. The rest are playing pretty standard issue. A bit passive-aggressive, sometimes a bit defensive, depending on spawn. And ghost placement, of course. With the ghost being on NSF's side, I'm pretty sure they are not going to move much except for Snyla and maybe the assaults.
Yeah, I don't think that either one of these teams is particularly vested in using the ghost.
Yeah, the ghost play is actually happening here. They picked it up.
I think they're just moving it because the early cap, probably. I doubt they're going to use it.
Well, we'll see about that. He's holding in his hands now. He's already getting beeps, just throwing it down. You were correct on that one.
Snyla being aggressive again. Takes out RTJ. Punished by Rake Bob for it, though. Deep Frog also took out Doctor, which I'm a little bit surprised about, but...
Well, Doctor tried to fall back there. I was not sure what he's trying to do. He pushed aggressively and
Did he get stuck on the bridge? I didn't see it.
He was just walking away from his enemy, it seems. Maybe out of ammo, maybe reloading, I don't know.
Yeah, it looks like he gets stuck on the bridge.
Deep Frog took a heavy hit there trying to stay on that bridge, I'm sure. I expect Jinrai to now take a more defensive position as they have the numbers for once. NSF just holding the fort here as expected. Rakebob probably has been a bit too eager trying to take someone out, meaning that this is tied out. But to be honest, I don't expect Team NEOTWINKS to remain full defensive. Even when they're tied out, they're notorious for just pushing and being a bit more aggressive to keep the game in a shape where it's fun to watch.
So I was surprised that Vamp was remaining to have the ghost in his hands there. I think I would have kind of opted to drop it at that point. I think Tachi versus Recons is probably fine. You probably could have killed both of them if you had put some effort into it.
Yeah, but that MX Halcyon picked up was quite a brutal strike there.
So it doesn't look like either team is really swapping up their little class balancing here. Seems like Jinrai's still rocking the 2 supports, 2 recons and one assault.
Michael Oplis is taking an assault again. I think it didn't work out too well for him taking a recon.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't particularly find a lot of value in competitive play to recon on this map. I think it's too easily punished. There's really 2 to 3 routes that you can actually rush with a recon, and I think all 3 of them are just way too much of a choke point to be really reliable. So there's bridge, right? There's fence. Both of those are not really that great from Tarmac side. There's basement, but I find basement just really lacks a lot of, I guess I would say, like, tactical relevance. I think most of the time people go down there and they get stuck on both sides and they look at each other and they don't do anything.
I'd actually have to disagree with it saying that this map might not be the best idea to take a recon on, because especially with it being so open, there's many ways to get out of a tight situation if you get as fast into one.
Yeah, I suppose it's true, but I mean, I think in order to be able to do that, it really requires the other team to be inept at holding the choke points. Because as I said, I mean, there's really 3 routes that you can go, and all 3 of them can be locked down pretty easily by assault with ZR. It just seems like neither one of these teams, particularly the Jinrai, having spawned on Tarmac this time, they're not like really taking up any sort of designated position whatsoever. It seems to be a lot more freeform play as opposed to having some sort of like laid out plan.
Well, I've been noticing that Jinrai, like, even though you are mostly looking at them, I just took a peek and realized that they seem to adjust their positions freely while NSF is trying to keep a bit more of a static unit. They stick together, except for Snella trying to just flank, take on direct firefights, and get early picks into the match here.
Yeah. I'm just surprised by the amount of reckless play that's going on, to be honest with you. I mean, it's
Yeah.
early. It's map 1. It's tarmac. I kind of get it, I guess. And I think you're right. There is some risk reward to, trying to get those early kills and ranking up early.
Plus, the NSF has the room to just go at it with now 2 points being in the lead, especially with Snyla being known to also take the same route a lot. I'm surprised that he got so many picks so far.
Yeah, like I was saying before, there's only like 3 ways you can go, and all 3 of them can be pretty easily punished if you just kind of pay attention to it.
It's mostly about timing and speed. Sometimes even just slowing down for a moment can cause a lot of disbalance.
Yeah, I mean, it is fair to say that he can probably get there faster than most of them, so that there is some advantage to being able to get, to one of those choke points early and actually be able to get by before they set up. The other problem, too, is I've really not seen any sort of smoke utilization by Raycloud or the other support on the team pizza. I don't really know what they're doing with those smokes, but I think this is one of the maps that really lends towards smokes cutting off choke points.
Well, Raybob actually smoking basement now.
Yeah, I mean, but then again, like, I think basement's easy enough to hold down without a smoke. I mean, I'd probably want to smoke on middle Skybridge, to be honest with you.
So I'm not seeing anyone being close to that at the moment except for Gecko. Both supports on Jinrai seem to be holding basement, smoking off both exits.
I don't understand that tactic considering Ghost isn't down there either, but Halcyon does have it in his hands now, though.
It's always fun to have Ghost play on this map because the callouts are not really that hard and you can easily tell where people will be and where they might pop out.
Yeah, I think it is one of the easier maps to Ghost on.
Callouts being probably quite spot on. They're just holding their ground, trying to play it defensively now.
The other problem I don't really particularly like about basement is that, particularly from the parking lot side, it's like very tough to push out of lower tarmac. Usually one person can set up on the high ground and be able to watch that pretty well from the team that spawns on tarmac, so it's kind of risky. It seems as though Rakebob and Pizza are going back now. I don't know what they're doing. They're just in the basement. This is what I was talking about as far as like tactical relevance is concerned with the basement. Both these guys have been down there. That's 2 MXs that have been out of this, or 1 MX and a Super 7. All this firepower that's been completely out of the fight because they've just been down in basement.
Well, Gecko now actually pushing up and finally making use of it, taking him out. But it took quite a long time, and it's not always guaranteed that someone's taking that route, especially in competitive play. I've been noticing that basement has only been used very barely or very extensively, but it's not guaranteed that it's going to happen.
I think it's fine late game once it's thinned out a little bit, but I think in the early round, like the early part of the round, it's a little bit risky to go basement. I just don't think it's really worthwhile. It's too easy to watch it. But yeah, as I said before, I'm really surprised by how recon heavy both of these teams are. I mean, I would have expected both Halcyon and Snala to be recons, but I don't really know why you'd have any additional recons on this.
Well, Deepfrog is more of an active recon player than Halcyon, actually.
You think so? Okay.
Yeah, Deepfrog is playing a lot of recon, and he was playing recon most of the time he was in the matches, so I'm not surprised to see him on the recon front.
I just think the utility of the class is not really that great on this map, as I was saying before. I mean, I guess there's arguments for both of it, but I just think support is strictly better on this map. I mean, assault, rather.
Yeah, I actually wouldn't recommend playing support, or actually a too heavy support team when you spawn under tarmac, just because of the time it takes to get out. I would go as far to say that this is actually the nuke of NT maps, just due to the spawn placement being a bit weird.
Yeah, I am a little bit surprised about neither team has really flexed their class makeup.
Yeah, they've been pretty static.
I think for all the maps, this is probably the one where you would be inclined to change it up based on which side you spawned on.
Oh, that also depends a lot on ghost placement. I would definitely take supports if I know the ghost would be close to the cap on tarmac, that's for sure. Or for a possible push that would be happening onto the tarmac if the ghost is in a good position. For it being courtyard now, though, I wouldn't be taking many supports unless I am going to hold probably hangar or, well, yeah, hangar to cover up server and fence, or maybe fall back a bit to also have an eye on basement.
Jinrai's in a tough spot here. Snala got behind them. Pizza's kind of isolated in the warehouse.
And Halcyon is also trying to
Yeah,
flank.
he's down.
Yeah.
I think the lower stairs on Tarmac side going up a sky bridge is just like a death spot. I never try to stay down there. Your ability to see around your vision is just terrible.
They're slowly
It's too
systematically boxing in Pizza here. You can see him in a corner, really just
Yep.
barely able to go anywhere.
Yeah, it's
And
tough.
there's-
His mobility is limited, so.
There's the other support. They're about to face. Pizza just running away here. He has no other choice. Yeah, Snala just come out from behind, ending this. Posting is just fine. He probably posted about 60 times by now.
Alright, looks like Jinrai's finally switching up. Their parking lot side, they have 3 supports, 2 recons.
I would have taken at least one assault if I'm going to be honest here. It's always good to have that guy that has a good mixture of taking a few hits and having a better speed and the
They
cloak.
swapped weapons. They gave MXs to the recons. This should be interesting to see how successful they are at pushing.
Well, Snala not switching weapons I'm surprised with mostly because he's usually taking a Set or Silencer MX of his teammates.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing though. Deep Frog really didn't leverage this weapon exchange very well. He hasn't pushed at all. He's back in hidey hole again. He dropped a dead pack, I think, in the stairwell. He's just sitting there.
Plus the Ghost is not even on their side, so I don't really understand defensive play unless they're trying to pick for numbers. Which is not necessarily a bad idea due to their disadvantage. Though it is also risky as a recon to just hold back.
Yeah, I think if you're going to do that kind of weapon switch, you want to really just push as aggressively as Snell has been doing. I think that's
Exactly.
one thing. I think that's one thing, you know, as much as I disagree with the choke points being a trouble spot for recons on this map, I think because of his speed advantage, I think pushing aggressively like that is correct. And I think Deep Frog could really be successful with that because he's pretty fast himself. It's just that, you know, I haven't really seen him push. He's been playing very passive. I don't know if it's because they're down a few rounds or what, but...
Well, we gotta always consider, as I like to call this, the first map is always the warm-up map, even though there's been an initial warm-up before that. But you never know what happens after the first map, because the teams might just bring out the real guns afterwards.
Yeah, I don't know, it's, like, I think you're right. I think that's kind of why we're seeing such reckless play early on here.
Well, I wouldn't consider it necessarily reckless, I would just call it experimenting, to investigate how the enemy team reacts on certain kind of...
I guess that's true, they're trying to feel out what's going on.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think based around our community and player base, there's not a lot of surprises with what people are going to be playing. I think the real surprise is seeing how they adjust their composition, and so far, like I said, we haven't seen a lot of that at all.
Though, from what I've learned in competitive play, the first map, it can be exciting. If it's a best out of 1, it usually is very exciting, but in best out of 3, the first map, it is necessarily usually just experimenting, playing a bit slow, sometimes a bit fast, and then adjusting on the second map. The second map usually, from what I've found, is the most exciting one, especially now they are picking up, getting a few picks in.
Yeah, this is tough. We're going to have some lieutenants on NSF soon.
Yeah, the point difference is quite visible in both aspects of taking rounds and taking enemies and gaining those points and ranks. But it's not necessarily a bad thing, because even as having just 1 sergeant and 4 corporals on Jinrai, it doesn't mean that they're in a bad spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I mean, I didn't really expect either one of these teams to be particularly Ghost-centric, but we see right here, right now, we have Jinrai on Tarmac side and the Ghost spawn on lower Tarmac. I think one of the most underplayed and advantaged lines you can take on this map is basically bringing the Ghost into the basement. It becomes completely game-breaking if you can get the Ghost down there and just cover both sides. I mean, people can say what they want about it being turtley, but
you're saying that they picked it up.
Yep, RTJ picked it up. I
He's
don't know if
actually moving there.
the problem is I don't know if they're going to be able to actually get in there. The problem is you got to send a recon early to clear it out to get to the other side, and then you push the ghost in there and you sit in there with everybody.
He's definitely hesitating. He's not going
he's stopping.
in that
He can
quick.
see them. They got to be in the locker room probably.
Either that or they're close to the exit, because let's see who's on the other side there. Oh, it's just the support just coming out.
Interestingly enough, they did have Halcyon on the other side of the basement, but I'm surprised seeing him engage that support, I probably would have moved the ghost in further.
Takes him out. They have the chance to actually enter now. He's going for it.
They can go
there
in
he
there
goes.
now if they pick it up. Yep, okay. That's good, that's good. This is exactly what I want to see.
And there he goes. Take him out.
It's so easy. When you can corral people into these small choke points and you know when they're coming with the ghost, it's just completely game breaking.
Servo is all Servo can do is magically pull something out of his ass, killing all the 5 people, or just prevent the ghost cap. There's nothing else he can do now.
No, he has to prevent the ghost cap. That's all he can do. Put himself between the cap point.
Yeah.
That's it is nice to see him do that. I think one of the biggest mistakes people make playing support is that when it's the late game and the round, they don't really, pay attention to the ghost, and they don't put themselves in between the cap point and the ghost, and I think that's something that he did, he was smart enough to do that, which is nice to see.
It also happens a lot that people try to pick up the ghost, majorly going for a cap in competitive play, but I do enjoy when people just use the ghost to get intel.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't happen that
no
often.
doubt about the leverage that you can...
NSF immediately picking up the ghost, getting it out of the spawn again, maybe actually trying to get a push in with it as well. Early firefights from the roof on there. It's finally picking up. You can notice them actually gaining a pace where they're adapting to the other player's playstyle.
Yep. Snala has an MX, seems as though they did a weapon switch with the guy who picked up the ghost. That's a good play. Alright, Deep Frog. Deep Frog is, I gotta say, he's a good player, I like him. He really hasn't been switching up his
so many picks
his
here.
Spots. He's been hanging out in that hidey hole quite a bit. If I was him, I'd leverage his speed a little bit more.
Well, he even gave it a very special pronunciation recently, saying it's the QB hole instead of cubby hole.
Yes, of course.
So I expect him to take it a lot because he seems obsessed with the name. Also, as a little hint here, what also might help, or not at point-wise, I mean, RTJ has tried changing up his crosshair in a few things in the game. That might help him, but so far it doesn't seem to work out well for him. Maybe the crosshair is actually shooting his own kneecap? I don't know.
It's tough. I mean, it's, I don't particularly change anything from base game. I find it more of a distraction than anything else. But I do like how one-sided this has become when the teams utilize the ghost. I think this is a really good example of how you can really leverage this thing to your advantage, which you don't see a lot in pug play, just because, people just, they want to play deathmatch.
Most of the time, yeah. Yeah, but I kind of had a grin on my face when I saw Michael pick up the ghost, because I can't imagine of how calm he's calling out the positions. He's just a very good person when it comes to using his voice. His voice is great, and he's very good at calling out, so I imagine it going well for them as soon as they have it.
Yeah, Jinrai back to an assault. I'm really surprised that they haven't switched it up a little bit. Honestly, if I was Tarmac's side, I would go ZRS assault for all 5 characters. I don't know why they're not utilizing more assaults on this map.
Well, I'm surprised though, this is the first round that they only have one support, which is Servo. I don't really know Servo that well in terms of NT and his playstyle, but I expected him to go more aggressively just due to seeing him on Reflex, I presume, which is a totally different game.
The one thing I do like about what the NSF are doing, though, is that if you watch what Servo is doing right now, they are utilizing him to cut off an entire choke point, and they know that Halcyon's been rushing recon fence pretty often. And if you notice right at the start of the round, Servo smoked that fence area, and he's just been rushing, which is smart. That's what you want to do as support. You want to use it to cut off an entire lane, much like a dead pack from a recon.
Yeah, Snala usually, he tried to get up another flank, and if I saw this correctly, he saw the death there, got away at the right time, and it just blew up completely blank. He played that out really well and got a good damage on the support right there. Pizza now being halfway dead. He even got a pick before Pizza just finishes him.
Yeah, that's a fair 1-for-1 trade, but it's not going to win them the round, that's for sure. And that's part of the problem with the recons in this map. Well, it was a fair recon trade here.
They now have the advantage of having Halcyon, and if he gets a proper flank in, that's good, but You have to get that in. You have to try do it,
Yeah,
which
like
is
I
tough
said,
on this map.
I think if you want to play recon this map, like you have to do the late game flanking when a lane is opened up and try to leverage that advantage. But it's just, I mean, we keep seeing this over and over again. The recons rush in, they kill one person, they get killed. A one for one trade's not going to do you anything.
Well, depends on who you get. On NEOTWINKS, I'm sure it doesn't really matter that much because they're known for being a really good segment. Like each segment works, even if one falls out, they all have a really good individual skill.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair point. I think both teams are skilled enough to not really be at any sort of detriment for losing one player. I think they're all pretty evenly skilled.
Due to not knowing Jinrai that well, I don't know how well it works on their team, but I do presume that they have a bigger issue that a smaller the number gets, the more they are prone to getting a bit nervous or panicked, at least what I expect from a few players when I saw them on pop play or their reactions. They seem a bit more prone to panic.
Maybe. I mean, I think they're all pretty good. I mean, they've all been playing for quite a while.
While we've just been discussing mostly tactics and general play, this match is already like close to reaching a point where we can decide who's winning the map. The first tie is coming in now, which means as soon as the 7th point rolls in for NSF, it's already way close for them winning if there's another tie rolling in. Jinra needs to pick up now. They have to.
They're doing another weapon switch with Deep Frog, it looks like. Yeah, it's just on this map, I don't know. Like I said, I like one support.
I really don't understand the smoke right there, sorry to cut you off, but he smoked in the van he's climbing onto the roof with. I don't know what that is all about.
I don't know what they're doing with that either, I'm not sure. I would say that's more jokes than smokes. Anyway.
You waited for that to come up, I just waited for it, you mentioned it yesterday.
Well, like I said, I think a 4 assault or 3 assault, 1 recon, 1 support is probably the class balance I'd want on this map.
Well, Michaelopoulos being back to recon, I'm surprised.
Yeah, I'm surprised about that too. I would have kind of assumed that knowing that Rake Bob's in their team, he probably would have gone support as a hard counter for that. The thing is, on this map though, like we were talking about before, it does have its open spaces, and I think that's where nades come into play as being a hard counter for supports. So these supports, I'm surprised how often they've been setting up in open areas, because I think that's kind of a death knell for the class. I think you really need to pick your choke point and just camp it as a support on this map, and I haven't really seen that. For instance, Rake Bob right now, he's in the parking lot and on the parking lot spawn, and like he can be shot from about 5 different areas right now. I don't really understand it.
Recons are do or die on this map. They have good chances and bad chances depending on which path they're taking and the enemy taking certain classes down the road.
You have to either be fast enough to get through a lane before it gets camped, or you have to wait to the later part of the round to be able to get through a lane that's been opened by somebody else.
Go entry or exit, no halfway in. Oh god, I wonder what happened there.
I don't know, I didn't see it. But
yeah, I didn't catch that, sadly. He might have... Oh, his HUD breaking.
It's okay though. It's still 4-2. They have the player advantage right now. The time is 30 seconds left. I think they got this unless Van can pull something out of his ass. Again, Servo...
Van is quite magical in some sort. He's one of the most unpredictable players from what I've heard of, seen actually, and encountered. Like,
I think
nobody really knows what he's exactly doing. He likes to play recon, but now he's assault.
He's down.
Failing the attack though, but I've seen so many things I wouldn't have expected from him because he just doesn't seem like that kind of player. It's always magical what he pulls out once he wants to.
I gotta say, I don't really understand what Jinra's doing with these recons. I think both of them should have been assault the entire time. They're not really utilizing the speed advantage at all. I just like I said, I keep seeing Deep Frog hanging out in the QB hole, not really doing anything. Well, and, Halcyon early game was trying to disrupt their deployment of the NSF, but it didn't really seem to work that way.
Deep Frog is a bit more like a stealth type of recon player, because stealth is not also it's also not very aggressive, but he knows his stat placement and he knows where people will pop in.
Yeah, that's fine.
Then he uses his speed. He uses his speed then to actually confuse the person and try to take him out.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, he's a mid-range camper, recon, that's fine. I think if he's going to do that, he should actually mid-range camp. I haven't seen him get up on the glass on Skybridge. I haven't seen him move out of the QB hole. There's so many places he can go to mid-range camp that would be really advantageous, especially with his speed. But he's just not doing it.
Yeah, which is sad.
Yeah, it would
Snyla
have been
is
really nice to
now.
see that.
I don't know. I actually didn't pay attention to spawns. Never mind. I thought he's now in the enemy spawn, but he isn't. He's
I'm
going on a push now.
surprised. I'm surprised after that round where they took the ghost basement from lower tarmac, they're not working that again. They seem to
Yeah.
be ignoring it completely this time. Although
Well,
both
we
supports seem
have.
to be moving towards basement. Oh, they picked
we-
it up. They did pick it up. Okay.
Yeah, we
I-
have someone holding the ghost. They just have to get into this position. Like, if they stay there, it's not going to do them much good. They have to get out of there.
I don't know if RTJ is disconnected or something. He seems non-responsive after picking up the ghost.
Yeah, he might just. Yeah,
I've timed out. I'm not sure.
we will see. Like, he's looking at him. I think there's something wrong. But they're not calling for a pause either. I don't know what's going on at this point. I think I should inquire on this. Yeah, before I could even finish typing. Yeah, you were pretty much right about that. This calls for a pause, I'm afraid.
Yeah, at the beginning of the next round.
Yeah. Did the ghost yes, the ghost disappear with RTJ. Well,
It's okay. It's still
that is pretty
4v4.
interesting.
It's still 4v4. Oh, now 4v3. Right, Bob got taken out by Doctor.
Yeah, Doctor just
Halcyon,
punching right at...
AA13 in basement, not pushing. He's just not pushing. He needs to get in there with that AA13. This is just a waste. Now they know he's down there. He's gonna catch a nade. Oh,
takes out one guy.
Yeah, that was aggressive on Vamp's part. I don't think
Even
I
out
would've done
again. I'm pretty much sure they're playing on a tie, which is dangerous. They are in the point disadvantage. Ties work in NSF's favor here.
It's
But
2v2.
yeah, the HP speak for a tie. Rather have a tie
Yeah,
than
that's
get
not
them
good.
gaining a
You're right.
win.
I would have probably pressed there.
Oh,
Instead of
I
engaging
would
on the
have pressed
stairs.
as soon as the first two kills were made on the NSF side. I would have pushed with the AA13, trying to catch them in the spur of the moment, trying to get the numbers without losing much health that way.
That's true.
It would have been better than just waiting it out. Having to pause here.
Hopefully RTJ can get back in.
This is the right moment to plug something real quick. If you're a new viewer and you're pretty much new to competitive Neotokyo or Neotokyo in general, if you got here by different means other than ANP, you should check out active Neotokyo players on Steam and join our group. We are always trying to keep the movement alive and always happy to see new players. Right as I finished that, the match is rebooting its state here, as RTJ is back. That was pretty quick.
Oh, it's back
He
with 0
lost
XP.
all his points though. Ouch. Seems like the plugin did not save his points, which is pretty possible on a timer or crash.
Yes,
Very
Jinrai 2 assaults now. It's interesting to me that he waited till AA13 to rank up on this map. I mean, I think this is just another great example of tactical relevance and really needing to understand the points where you want to take on this map.
Oh, Snyla taking two people was
Yeah.
a very aggressive push here, taking
That
out
was
the
good.
A13 immediately as the round
Yeah.
started.
He got
Pretty damn
right
good.
by Halcyon. That was tough. I just don't really particularly find that gun to be very good on this map unless you're constantly going basement, and as I've kind of already stated multiple times here, that I just don't find basement to be very valuable on this map.
Oh,
Snyla is just killing
third
it.
one even. On
Yeah,
fire.
see, that
not
was
even lost a
Rake Bob
point
got
of
caught
health.
out in the open again and just, has no idea where he's getting shot from to his silence weapon. It's just tough as a support. You just can't sit out in the open like that.
He's probably just not taking someone. It's a bit late. No,
Snyla
takes out
finally be
Snyla
taken
too.
down. See, again, Deep Frog is just hanging out in that skybridge area. I just don't really understand it. I would have crossed the bridge by now. I mean, maybe he knows somebody's there, but there he goes. Let's see how this works out.
Well, it's good for him actually that he remained a bit held back there. He did a bit of a stealth thing, just holding back and taking them from the
I
back,
don't know,
like
though.
from behind.
I mean,
But-
RTJ's in their spawn. Like, they gotta move. They gotta do something. But they know there's an SRS on tarmac. They have to know there's an SRS somewhere.
Yeah, and it's just they're just holding their tarmac spots, not moving much. I mean, we got One behind the wall. We got one on the lower tower making the dark. Got
Yeah.
Michaelopolis just hanging out towards the bridge. They don't need to do much now.
He's inadvertently keeping Deep Frog in check, which is interesting to me. He's moving back Tarmac now. It looks like they call him back now that they saw RTJ on the roof.
Yeah, plus he has this SRS set up there, so it's even better.
Yep, there
That
we go.
bang, headshot right, taking him out. 1v3, looking quite bad. I think this is Tarmac for you here. Deep Frog's still taking one person. If he takes a second one, it would be a tie. He has to kill all three, otherwise it's pretty much done.
Yep, this is a tough spot.
It's closing into the SRS.
Yeah, that's what he wants to
Pretty
do.
interesting firefight. Might do it. Nope, he did not.
That's it.
NSF
That
taking this. Seems like it's the map because there were 2 ties, and I think that's enough to make it finish here.
What's
Good
up
game.
next? Red Light is the next map, I believe.
I have actually no clue. Agile knowing the details here.
I believe so, and the final map is trying.